All right, guys, welcome to the Wave podcast. I don't know what fucking episode this is. I have no idea, but welcome. Today we're going to be talking about motivation, how to stay motivated, how not to feel like you want to die every single day when you do this. Once again, I am joined by my beautiful co-host, Andrew.
Ooh,
hey.
Thank you.
And here we are on whatever week. I think it's week 7, maybe, of the podcast.
That sounds right. I was going to say 7 or 8, something like that.
A while now. I do want to say before we start off, because we usually save this to the end, it would be very nice if you're watching and you're not subscribed, just subscribe. Let us know that you care about us. That would certainly, convince us that we're doing something right.
Definitely.
But anyway, to get started, motivation, that is something that I think every single engineer struggles with. I myself am included in that. I have gone through multiple periods of feeling highly motivated, almost to the point of like manic, where you're just getting so much done, just getting an insane amount of stuff done in small, in a small time span. And then a week, 2 weeks later, you're like, you feel awful. You think that everything you do is terrible. And today we're going to talk about how to minimize that and how not to get burnt out also. First thing I can think of is consistency, which is rough. It's rough to sit down every day and be like, I'm going to do something creative today, or at least have a schedule where you do this stuff. You say, this is when I do this. For me, I take Monday and Tuesday off. That's my weekend. And then every other day of the week, I have to have something creative happening. Do I always follow it? No, I fall off the wagon sometimes, but I will say
it's easy to do.
It is. But I will say that the longer that you stay on a schedule like that, the easier it gets to consistently be creative and get good results.
Yes.
I don't think there's any
small bits too. It can start with just like 20 minutes a day. That's what I've kind of getting myself back into, is just little bits.
Yeah.
Or if I have a bunch of projects, to just like do maybe 2 hours of those projects every day, 5 days a week, 4 days a week. It's sometimes pushing it. Depends on how I guess you're feeling. You don't want to stress yourself out and work way too hard to where you do burn yourself out. So it's good to know those limitations you've got.
I absolutely agree. It is really easy to trick yourself into thinking you suck as a musician if you're not consistent, because you'll sit down and you're not really used to being in that workflow, and you'll do something that might be subpar to you. But the thing is, if you push through that and you keep doing it, you'll find that over time you create more good material than you would have created had you not done that. Sure, you might make more subpar material too, but you never know what's going to come out until you just fucking sit down and do the thing.
Yep.
And it's
100%, man.
So easy to forget that.
I've always seen it as a getting the bad ideas out kind of thing. It's just, you recognize that that's like not a good sound, so you don't do it again, rather than like making or not doing anything, or like sidetracking yourself with other work to end up at that point later anyways. Just getting the bad ideas out first, kind of flushing the system almost.
Well, if you never experiment and try those ideas, how will you know if they're bad or not?
Exactly.
Any idea is bad when you never fucking do anything with it.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and
choosing to kind of accept that there.
Yeah, I recently looked back at a period of time where I was probably the most consistent creatively around the start of the pandemic in 2020, maybe like 6 months before that. Up until that point, I was now, granted, I wasn't doing this full time then. I was coming home from work. I'd work 8 hours a day as a waiter or something, on my feet, running around. And then I would come home and work on music for like 5 hours every single night.
Dang. And that's going hard.
Yeah. And I would bounce between projects. I'd make sure, as long as I opened up all of my projects at least once that night, even if I only make tiny changes to them, over time, it's going to stack up and I'm going to get further and further. And some of the songs that I made back then that I thought sucked, I looked at them. I have like 30 projects I opened up last week. And you know what? I'd say a good 20 of them are pretty fucking cool and they're usable. So I don't know, man. Our brain just likes to do this thing where it tricks us into thinking that everything sucks. But the reality is...
especially when you're in the midst of it.
Yeah, yes. Well, there's a saying that you're lost in... you can't make sight of the forest when you're lost in the trees, or something like that. You lose sight of the forest when you're lost in the trees. But
that's really good. It's so true.
Yeah, very, very true. When you're caught in the weeds, so your you're like below water at that point. You don't have time to pay attention to anything else other than what's directly in front of you, and you lose the big picture.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, if you're getting paid for this at all, you're probably pretty fucking good at it. You're probably better than most people. I mean, I'm realistic about it. I'm not my idol. I don't know if I'll ever be that.
Man?
I'll work towards it, sure, but
yeah,
I've gotten paid enough money to do this to where it's probably not a fluke that I'm making money doing this. I'm probably doing something
totally.
Right.
Yep. I could say that you definitely are, man.
Well,
you've got the hours behind you.
Well, I think that 10,000 hours to master a skill is bullshit, because I've probably put in about 10,000 hours at this point, and I've got a very long way to go. Even basic concepts like compression, I feel like I didn't really understand until maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I'm still working on them. I'm still working on them. I feel like it's going to be never ending. You're constantly just going to keep learning and getting better, and that's kind of exciting. I mean, that's
kind of the fun of it. Yeah, you're always going to learn something new.
It does.
You're going to hear something differently, and
it sucks knowing that you're not at your peak ever, really, right? But
yeah,
it is kind of cool that like it keeps it from getting boring.
It does.
It would kind of suck if you're just amazing at this, and then there's nowhere to go. Like you can't progress any further up.
Yeah. What are you supposed to do? Like, where's the action at? Where are those like little bits of growth and fulfillment?
Yeah.
It would be like non-existent. How boring.
Yeah. So staying consistent, man, that's super, super, super important. But
in those spouts of tiredness, I guess, exhaustion, when you're feeling burnt out or just like mentally unwell to create, do you like force yourself into being creative? Is that something that you like maybe put it like that, or do you just like go there and do something even if it's small? I suppose like
I used
mixing
to,
or writing or anything.
I used to force myself. And that was cool, and I got a shitload done back then. But I would say long term, that is not sustainable. But I think, like you were saying, if you keep it small, if you're really feeling off that day, if you open up a project or two, let's say you add a little synth lead to something, you open up another project, you edit some things. Like I said, that stacks up over time. You're still getting work done, and you're still getting closer to your end goal of getting a final product out, whether it's for your own music or not. For me, if I'm really feeling out of it, I still try to pick up my acoustic guitar once a day, and I'll usually come up with a chord progression. And then over time, if that chord progression is good enough, it sticks in my head, and I'll end up writing a song with that.
That's awesome.
So consistency doesn't have to be in front of your DAW every single day, although that certainly helps. The more, because let's be honest, that is the hardest part of this job, is just starting something. Just sitting down.
It can be.
Turning on the computer, opening the DAW. That is the single hardest part. After that, if you're any good at this at all, it's pretty natural after that. I mean, it just gets frustrating sometimes with mixing, but really, that's the barrier of entry. And I know we've talked about this before, with convenience. I think we talked about this in another podcast. We can briefly touch on it. If you don't have your setup, put together in a way that makes it easy to make music, then you're just not going to do it. Like if you have to take something out of the closet and plug it in every time you want to use it, you're not going to fucking use that.
No way.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
It's going to get zero use.
No.
For example, I have a pedal board below my, I would say, bed or futon. It's a couch and a bed. It's both. Wow. Awesome.
Amazing.
Actually, one of our roommates just moved out, so I took over the other room. And sure, it's more expensive now, but hey, I have a bedroom for the first time in a year.
Extra space.
It's nice to have a bedroom. Not sleep in my workspace, but hey, that's what you got to do sometimes.
Totally.
But yeah, if you got to take something out and plug it in, you're not going to use it. I have a pedal board that has a lot of cool pedals. I don't really have space to keep it out in here, so I just kind of don't use it anymore. I can get similar sounds in the computer, and it doesn't even matter that I spend money on it. It's just not easy to use, so I don't use it. And
it's just simply convenience too. I mean, down to I have to lean over pretty far to hit Control R to start recording drums. That's like the first thing I think of when it's like, I want to record drums.
Yeah.
Then I think I got to either get up and walk that one whole step over to my computer to do it, and then go sit back down over and over and over and over.
That'll do it.
It's kind of a buzzkill. I don't really want to do that.
It is a buzzkill. I mean, even something
there are ways to make it.
Even something as simple as when I was younger, if I wanted to use a certain thing, I had to bend over, go underneath my desk and plug it in. It literally took one action of me bending over to do it. And over time, I got lazy with it because it just wasn't.
Yeah, that's all
I
it
didn't
can
fucking
take.
like bending over. I would hit my head sometimes. Like I stopped doing it.
Yep.
Now I have it set up so I click one button and all my shit turns on. It's great.
Oh, that's so awesome.
You know, and then I have a remote
Love
control
that.
for my monitors. So I hit a button here and I don't have to get up and walk behind them and turn them on. Just convenience.
Totally.
Just total.
You know,
total
speaking of convenience, when I see pictures of like big studios, you know, of course they got like their master desk with like hardware under the monitors, and they've got a screen and maybe like a little tabletop mixer and everything. But then you look behind them, they've also got these monster racks. Would those just be operated with like patch bays? Because when I think of
patch
convenience,
bays.
I can't imagine that like walking all the way over to that desk that's across the studio to start turning stuff is convenient.
It's not convenient. It is not. I've worked in studios like that, you know, here and there, and it's certainly not convenient. But that is a case of, well, it sounds fucking amazing. So yeah, that is one of those things where it's like, well, that's why it's expensive to be there, and that's why people are paying to be there. You better fucking use that gear.
Totally. Oh, absolutely. I would, dude. I suppose I wouldn't be bringing in people that would suit that kind of gear, I suppose, for a while, let alone have the space for it right now. But
a way you could make that gear more convenient, if you don't have, let's say I have 16 channels, right? Each of those could be a channel strip. I don't have to
This is true.
I don't have to use a patch bay. I can just have it serially patched in to where, okay, channel 3 is my compressor. Channel 4 is my preamp, you know?
That's pretty dope. Yeah.
I've worked in studios that operate like that, where they're like, you know, mid-range or smaller, and they just don't have that much gear. So what's the point in having to patch stuff? I mean, sure, you could. There's more things you could do with it, but obviously, if you have to patch things in, you can also, you know, take audio out from your DAW and then run stuff through the gear, which is great. Don't get me wrong, but in terms of convenience, not using a patch is the most convenient way to work, certainly. But
understandably, yeah,
it's just all in.
I could imagine at least.
It's all in what you want to do. You know, if you track a lot of drums and you're not really using your outboard to mix ever, why worry with the patch bay? Just have it serially in there. Channel 3. Yeah. Channel 3, that's my vocal channel. Boom. Has my compressor. Has a good preamp on it. You know, I worked at a studio where we had a I forget how expensive it was. It wasn't a cheap vocal channel. Expensive tube mic with a UAD 710 Twinfinity, I think, preamp into 1176 into an LA2A. Like, expensive.
Dang, yeah, that's great.
Expensive, but we didn't have a patch bay. That was just our vocal channel. You want to use that gear, it's on that channel. Fucking put it in there.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, things to think about.
When you have like a vocal channel that if you have something in your signal chain that you don't need, do most outboard pieces of gear have a bypass?
That's a great question. I'm sure they do, but generally,
I've always kind of wondered.
Generally, if I was running through that piece of gear, I wouldn't bypass it, right?
Yeah. So, I guess
if I was using that channel, I'd want to use that other piece of gear with it because that would be why I would reach for it. So I never personally did that. That's a great question.
I have
no fucking idea. I'm sure.
Yeah, because I'll see these racks and I always wonder, like, they're not using that. I mean, maybe they are.
They usually
Who's to say? You know, I don't know.
Yeah, they usually do.
They might not be. Yeah, I would imagine they might not be using that same piece of gear on every single instrument or track, you know. Yeah. So, but I don't ever really see a bypass on some of these either.
I mean, even look at Chris Lord-Alge's studio. I mean, he has tons of gear, but he has it set up so he's always using, you know, certain gear on certain channels for only specific things. So like even he's using a patch bay.
That's cool.
But he's doing it in a convenient way where he's like, this is what I use this for. This 1176 sounds great on vocals. This is the only thing I use on it. I don't put.
So you rack and mount your things in order and like to do what you want every time when you need it there.
Sure. I mean, I would say order. I don't know. I think about convenience when I have stuff in a rack. Like my interface is about a little bit more than halfway up my rack, so it's at like arm level, so I can just reach over and control the volume. I don't want that down at the bottom or all the way at the top. It just depends. Whatever you have space for.
That's really cool. I never thought of that. I've always just thrown stuff in my little cube of a channel strip rack thing that I've got here and just kind of like called it a day.
Well, speaking of convenience, if you have to bend over to use something and it's something you use all the time, you're not going to fucking use it.
Yep, exactly, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got my 11 rack at the bottom of this thing here, and I definitely don't. Granted, I have the neural plugins now. I rely more on those than I do my 11 rack, but I don't find myself messing with the 11 rack's tones as often as I used to when it was like literally sitting down shoulder height.
Yeah, I think it served you well back then.
It did. It's a nice tool, dude. It's a good unit. It still sounds great. I get some aggressive guitar tones with it.
I'm sure there's
It's
also
got a lot of cool effects.
I'm sure there's also more variety on there than there is on some of the neural plugins. So if you're looking for
There
something
definitely
bluesy,
is.
you could probably get that out of the 11 rack, where you might not be able to get that out of neural DSP's Gojira plugin.
Yep. Sometimes even putting the two together, blending them. Super cool.
That's big boy moves. I mean, I know producers like
fun.
I know producers like Will Putney or whatever the producer is who did the last Meshuggah album. It was multiple amps, you know, with tons of different mics on them. So each guitar tone is just multiple amps blended, that's where things start to get interesting. That's where things start to take on their own character. You just got to worry about phase when you do that. Even with plugins, you got to worry about phase. But
he's gotten some amazing guitar tones.
Oh, Putney's the man.
Just godly.
If I could learn from Putney, I would be 10 times the engineer I am now. He's so he's so good.
Yeah,
he's the
absolutely.
Man. He is the master in terms of modern, metal mixes, in my opinion.
Oh, I think so too, man. He's the guy.
He is the fucking
hands
guy.
down. Everything just feels like great, organic, and like has the right amount of edge.
Mm-hmm.
It's just awesome.
Yeah,
I can go on for too long about him. Fangirl about him.
Yeah, I could absolutely fanboy about Will Putney. Will, if you're watching,
totally never heard anything bad, dude.
Will, if you're watching, teach me stuff. So yeah, convenience, making things easy for yourself, super important. What's other ways that how have you optimized your room to make things easy for yourself?
Well, I have my guitars directly to my right, so when I'm sitting at my desk, I can just reach over, maybe roll. I have a rolling chair now, which is amazing.
Certainly helps.
Not just a stool, so I can kind of kick myself off the ground a little bit, grab a guitar, and
you also have lower back support now. That's nice.
Oh God, yeah, dude. The stool I had, the chair I had, was just like it was like sitting on wood. It was all worn out, so old.
Been there.
And the cats had gotten on the top and like ripped it up when I used to like cats in here and stuff. It was a train wreck. It looked so bad. Yeah. So having people in was kind of a reason to upgrade the chair, so it looked nice. And having a wood floor, it's nice to roll around to be able to get to my stuff with ease.
Yeah.
But my guitars are directly to my right. Like I said, my drum set's not the most convenient thing. I have to get up and walk like 1 foot, literally 12 inches to reach over and record and stop.
But is it, do you have it wired in all the time?
Say that one more time.
Is it always wired in, or do you have to plug and unplug it every time?
It's always wired in.
There you go. That's convenient. It's much more convenient than the other
So
way.
it's ready to go.
Yeah.
I just, in order to like record, if I mess up, I got to get up, stop, re-record, go sit back down,
Brutal.
you know. And it's really little. I shouldn't complain because it's way better than it has ever been in here, I feel like.
You could just loop
pens are easily accessible.
You could just loop sections if you really wanted to. You could loop sections and
that's
then use
usually
separate takes.
Yep.
It's convenient.
I definitely, punching in general is a pretty convenient thing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a big convenience.
Yeah.
Instead of having to record whole songs, whole parts,
I told
man,
you,
that's stressful.
I think I talked last time about the client I had who wanted to play the song all the way through every time she messed up.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Okay.
Well, what about you, man? What do you do to like get an ergonomic workspace to be convenient, move fast?
Well, I think I've gone over a couple of them. I have a rack where everything turns on when I need it.
Yes.
I have stuff hardwired in all the time in case I need to use it, like a Sans amp or a DI box. I can just plug in one cable and I'm good to go. Guitars are right next to me. My keyboard's over there. I keep my keyboard a little further than I normally would because this room's a little small and it would be in the middle, almost in the middle of the floor.
I gotcha.
So that, that's something I'm sacrificing, convenience just for the sake of a little bit more space.
Totally.
What else do I do? I mean, if you're talking about just existing in the space, I have a futon so I can use it as a bed and a couch for clients. That is convenient.
That's pretty dope.
It's dual use,
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah. What else?
A man of class.
What else do I got? I got a couple mics here, some headphones. Yeah. Just all here, ready to go.
Totally. And I'm thinking too, with like the space of most people in the most spaces I've worked in, I've never been in like a massive studio or a massive room.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always kind of been sort of convenient in these medium-sized rooms that I've been in, or in some cases I was in a small room, because you can only move things away from you so far. And of course you can be in total disarray, when you're first putting things together. I feel like it's not that hard to get things in order in a small room.
Yeah. Well, deceptively simple.
I'm sure it can get kind of crazy, because then you run into the issue. You have not enough space for the amount of gear that you have, let alone yourself if you're living in your room.
Absolutely. What else? What other ways can you be motivated? I think aesthetics in your room help as well. If your room
absolutely
looks cool, then you'll feel like being more creative. Like when I'm feeling really creative, I have these little lights, and you're not going to see this, Andrew, but I can do this, and all of a sudden I have changing lights.
Ooh.
It's pretty, right? Like that's one thing that can get me more creative. I know the back of my room with the foam
sets a tone, kind
I
of.
know the back of my room with the foam looks like shit right now, but I've got the panels that I'm getting ready to set up. I think I'm going to do LED strips, like smart strips on the back of them, so they'll be backlit with whatever colors I want.
Oh, that'll be cool, man. That'll look really good.
I just think room treatment in general is pretty cool. I mean, it looks cool. Like the front of my room is much more treated. So the thing that you guys aren't seeing back here, I have bass traps, I have panels back here. I think that in general is fairly inspiring. You get in here and you're like, this is a musical room. This is a space where I'm supposed to be creative. And it also makes it sound better, which helps. But
yeah,
aesthetics certainly help. What else?
I was going to say acoustic treatment was a huge motivator for myself.
Yeah.
I put them together and got fabric and colors that I feel like would be more aesthetic on the eyes or easy on the eyes, I suppose.
Here's another topic that I don't always subscribe to, but I know some people like to dress nicely when they're working on music. That inspires them. They look nice. How about you?
It's a good feeling. I can understand that. If I'm well taken care of, if I'm like today, for example, I actually shaved and got out of bed at like a relatively decent time in comparison to how much I slept past week. Showered, brushed my teeth, did all those good things, cleaned my place. I have my nice little Adidas jacket on. It does feel good.
Yeah, good.
I definitely will spend more time here if I know that I'm like well taken care of, rather than feeling dirty and like grimy and like I need to shave.
Vacuuming.
I feel like I'm kind
dusting.
of a little slow, Don't really feel like I'm worthy almost.
I am kind of the opposite. I mean, I'll vacuum and dust certainly, but I'm the opposite in that I tend to like to be comfortable.
Absolutely.
If it's a first time meeting a client, I'll dress up a little bit and look presentable. But if I start to get to know people, and it's just because after you work with people a certain amount of time, it just feels like hanging out, right? So I'll be like, all right, joggers, t-shirt, let's get this shit done. I'm sitting down, I'm moving around, adjusting drum mics. Like I want to be comfy. I don't want to be wearing like skin tight clothing. It might look nice, but it's not that great for whatever. It's not that
comfort,
ergonomic. It's not that comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. Joggers all the way. I made the switch from jeans to joggers like 4 years ago, and I swear I haven't gone back, not once.
I like jeans. I only have one pair of jeans.
So comfortable.
I only have one pair of jeans that fits me right now, so I just wear them everywhere. Well, the other pair of jeans that
they last
have,
longer if you don't wash them.
Yeah, that's the way. They also look nicer. They get kind of like the wrinkles at the knees. But people might think that's gross. It just looks cool.
No.
If they get nasty, I wash them, but
Oh, totally. Oh, yeah. Nah, feeling good. It definitely gets me a little more motivated.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
Same with like diet too. If I've been
so
eating good, I find myself to be way more productive. And like water.
I think we've been talking about this this year a lot, in that I've been discovering there's certain foods that if I eat them early in the day, I'm done. I'm just tired.
Totally.
All my motivation's gone. Like I've been waking up and eating like fish in the morning, like salmon or something, or make a shrimp bowl or something like that. And I'll save the heavier meats like chicken and steak and stuff like that for the night, because after I eat those, I just want to fall asleep. I just want to crawl in bed.
Yeah. It's heavy, man.
Very
dense
heavy.
Foods.
Yeah. I mean, they're good for you, but like, goddamn, yeah, can't eat that shit in the middle of the day. Not anymore.
No, let alone every day. I mean, in some cases you have to, I suppose, in order, to get what you need. But every time I would eat steak daily, or like, I guess general, like junk food in general, fast food or pizza, dude, I just feel so shitty.
Yeah.
Exhausted all the time. I don't sleep right.
Same with soda.
I get the meat sweats, as my friend says, where you just wake up in the middle of the night sweaty.
Same with soda. It just makes you like really dehydrated.
Soda.
You get that sugar rush, and then immediately you crash afterwards. It's just really brutal.
Yeah.
Really, really rough. Got to be careful about fried foods or like that. They make you feel really heavy. Diet.
Yeah.
Diet is so much more important to mental health than I think many people, like not enough people talk about it. If you constantly feel dehydrated and like shit all the time, you're probably going to feel sad. You're not going to feel great. You're going to feel uncomfortable.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always agitated or tired, depressed, whatever it is, your gut health is directly linked to mental health.
Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely. Gut health. Yeah. Super important. I also think your physical health is fairly important. I mean, we sit down so much that if you don't, you got to make sure that you're getting up and walking around sometimes. Like, I have a park near my house. If it's warm, I'll just walk in the park for like 2 miles. Just go. Put on some music. It feels great. Hang out. Just be surrounded by the trees. It's a nice reminder that, like, being a human does not mean sitting in front of a screen all day editing stuff.
Yes.
That's all fine and dandy, but that's not what we evolved to do. So it's social media and electronics in general, I do think are pretty bad for mental health. I get the need.
Oh, agreed.
I get the need for them. I like what I can do with my computer, but disconnecting from that's huge. I think it can also help you with burnout as well. Like if you're just feeling completely out of it, like go for a hike, fucking go out to eat with friends or some shit. Like just go to a museum. Like there's a lot of things you can do. Seek new experiences, or instead of just sitting down.
Absolutely agreed, dude. Get the blood flowing.
Yeah.
Get out, do something, move around, take in fresh air.
Absolutely.
There are times in that like whole grind phase where kind of like you, I just worked constantly in my studio after work. And I would almost like be surprised when I went outside, like, oh my goodness, like this is so different.
I used to
I almost didn't know what to do with my hands. So I went to the park and like walked.
It's great. I used to go on
it felt good.
I used to go on early morning drives because I'd work at 4,
I love that.
I'd work at 4 p.m. at the restaurant, and then I'd work for like almost 8 hours. I'd come home, I'd work on music for like 4 or 5 hours after dinner, and then I would just go on a drive through the country while the sun was coming up because it was gorgeous.
That's great.
I did that every morning, and then I would come home, go to sleep, and then do that, repeat the next day over and over and over again. And I really enjoyed that, just going out, top of a big hill and farmland, just looking down into the valley, seeing just a bunch of cool shit, and the sun's coming up on the horizon. That's beautiful. That's what life is all about, honestly. Like those are the moments that I find even more special than anything musical. It's just like, just being present, being outside and experiencing the earth, because it's fucking amazing, and we forget that when we're in front of computers all the time.
Yeah. Now there's so many things that influence the way we think, and like the dependencies that we end up developing, that we do forget to take that in.
Yeah.
We forget to be present. It's hard to make that a conscious thought all the time when you're not used to it. It took me a very long time to at least start thinking about that. Granted, I don't think about it all the time.
Yeah.
But to be present and like take those things in and appreciate them. Yeah. It took a while because I would just like sit on my phone all the time, Facebook and like Instagram.
It's a trap.
It suck you right in, dude.
Sucks you in for hours, and then you feel like shit because you got nothing done.
Yeah, and you kick yourself in the ass. Yeah, exactly, because you just sat around all day and did nothing.
Or you watch like YouTube, and you get the satisfaction of feeling like you've done something, but you haven't done anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a strong one right there.
Yeah. Brutal. And it's not like I don't like that stuff. I game most nights. But
yeah,
I try to regulate that just to the nighttime, because if I do it during the day, I feel like such a piece of shit. I feel like I'm wasting away my time.
Lazy and like, wow.
Yeah. I'm not the poster child for working hard. I'll be the first to admit it. I had my time where I worked crazy hard and I grinded, and I got super fucking burnt out for a long time.
Yep.
I'm still, it's more than 2 years later, I'm still kind of feeling the effects of that.
Absolutely.
It's really bad for your brain. So I do think finding that
healthy amounts.
Yeah, I think finding that work-life balance is important, knowing, setting up, like we said about being creative on a schedule, just scheduling things, even if it's a little looser. Like, I'm not so great at being like, I want to do this at this time, but it's like, here's what I want to accomplish today. I just need to get this done today. And I tend to get stuff done during the day, and it feels good. So the nighttime is my time,
Exactly. Yeah.
I will say something that's different. It feels like I'm not, let's see, this is a me thing. This is a mental health thing where it feels like I am not being as creative as I was a few years ago because I'm not working on music all night like I used to. But then I think back to those times and I was working a job all day. And now my job that I do all day is music. So I don't think it's fair to think I'm going to use music as the escape that I used to. It's just, it's changed for me. My relationship with music is different now. And
I feel the same way.
I shouldn't feel bad about that, but you know what? I almost always do. Makes me feel
I
like
do
shit.
too, dude. I think about it almost every single day.
Yeah.
Like, why don't I just don't have the same spark, dude?
Yeah.
Even when I was working a job, I wrote music still, probably like a song a week or a song every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But it used to be like I would sit down and try and write whole awesome bangers like every day. And I would just download random stems and mix songs like almost 7 days a week. And then after a while, it was just kind of like, it just slowly tapered off. And I didn't really notice until it was a couple of years later, like kind of just fizzled out, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's just, it's unsustainable. Like we said.
Yeah.
You can't be that obsessed with something for that amount of time. I mean, maybe you can, and you're like Kanye West, right? Where you're just like a workaholic, or Elon Musk or something, or Elon Musk or something like that. I mean, I don't know if he's actually a workaholic, but he says he is. But you know, I don't think that's healthy for most people.
No,
I don't think life.
No, I don't think so either. It can't be.
I don't think life is all about working. I think
there are some people whose music, like whose drug is music, who can continuously do it constantly, you know. But
I still like I'll get it in spurts. Like I might work with a client and feel inspired, and then write a song after. But
yeah,
not every day. And I feel bad because it feels like I'm creating less. But if I actually look at the last few years, 2 years, I've made more music in the last 2 years than I ever have in any other year in my entire life. But it just doesn't feel like it because I'm not doing it obsessively all night. It's like my workflow's faster. I can sit down and demo out a song in like 2 hours if I want to, you know?
That's awesome.
But my dumb fucking monkey brain can't understand that I got the same amount of work done in a smaller amount of time. So I shouldn't feel bad when I don't keep doing it until 7 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah, that can leave some kind of like, I don't want to call it resentment towards like the way that you used to be obsessive over it, but I feel like my brain still wants that. But when I do it, I just don't feel the same amount of satisfaction. Anymore.
It's like a longing to go back to that. It was a simpler time. Music was an escape.
It really was.
It was different.
Yeah.
And I didn't have enough clients to where I was really thinking about clients. I was more just thinking about me and what made me happy. And that was great fun. But the reality of living in almost any country in the world is you need to make money to survive. So music is my job now. And
fuck yeah, that's amazing.
It's great, but that's the mental health thing is tough. It's really hard to come to terms with that, you know?
Yeah.
That the relationship with something that I've loved my whole life has changed. It's not that I don't love it. I really do. I really, really do. I can't see myself doing anything else, but
no, me either.
Difficult. I think musicians are, most artists, I'm going to just say all. I'm going to make a broad, sweeping, general statement. I think all of us deal with some form of mental illness, right? Because why else would we make art unless we had something we needed to get out, something that was bothering us or something just like, you know, to me, that's where all great art comes from.
Yep. Some of the tougher times, dude. Either like some of the tougher times, I get some pretty cool ideas channeling to my guitar, or like some of the most like positive times of my life. Yeah, I've written some of the coolest songs I've ever written.
Yeah. Well, the idea that you need to be a suffering artist to make good stuff, I think, is kind of silly. There's like a romanticism towards that, and I think back at the time of my life where I was a suffering artist, and I thought I was making all this cool shit, and I go back and listen to it, I'm like, I write better stuff now. And I'm more content, honestly.
Totally.
Frankly, like if I'm being really realistic, like I think having your basic needs met is actually way better than being a suffering artist.
Oh, of course. Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
By all means, dude.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that way. You know, not every musician is suffering. You got guys like Ty Verdes who are just the happiest motherfuckers ever. And they make awesome music, too.
I've never heard of them, but I'll check them out.
Yeah, he's pretty cool, man. I guess kind of like modern hip hop, modern R&B hip hop.
Cool. I'm sure Angvar will know them. He knows all that stuff. He's very hip. I'm not. I don't listen to popular. I don't listen to popular music. And my old boss used to call me a hipster. I'm like, I'm not a fucking hipster. But
far from.
I guess I have the hipster glasses.
Oh yeah, you can't help that, huh?
And I'm wearing a Joy Division shirt. Uh-oh, it's not looking good for me.
Oh no.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it could be. Where's it got Nirvana? I don't know if Joy Division or Nirvana. If you'd had to pick one.
Oh, I gotta pick one. Probably Nirvana.
Yeah,
Nirvana has more good songs, but Joy Division's great. I think I like New Order better than Joy Division, but anyway, let's not get into bands. Whew, but yeah, that was physical and mental health. What else we got to talk about? If you feel
Having
yourself
some good routines.
Yeah, so just to quickly recap and add a few more points. If you feel yourself burning out, here's what I tend to do. Step away from the project for a few days. Go outside, walk, go for a bike ride, find new music to listen to, watch a new movie that you haven't seen that you're interested in.
New music is super powerful.
Yeah,
when you find something you like, it's incredible.
Consuming new art or new media is great for burnout because you'll get inspiration from it, you know?
Yeah.
If I was pretty burnt out and then me and my buddy watched a artsy Japanese film from the 70s, I'm like, wow, that's fucking amazing. That's great. All of a sudden, I'm just
leaves
like,
you feeling really good.
The juices are flowing again because I don't know, man. Something about imagery. Like I think a lot in images when I write music, right? Like that's the way my brain works. I mean, I don't know about
that's
you,
really
but
cool.
I get synesthesia from music, a fair amount, where like I'll just see like moving images pretty vividly in like the mind's eye, or when I'm EQing stuff, I'll see like this weird like amorphous like blob that I'm kind of messing with. Synesthesia is interesting.
That's super dope.
It's very interesting, and it's always different for everybody. So,
yeah.
Stuff,
I see more colors, I feel like, than anything else.
There you go, colors. So
when I think about it, colors.
You do get some form of synesthesia, which I feel like that's also pretty normal for engineers. Absolutely, I think this might be slightly controversial, but I think a lot of musicians are either. I think maybe not even just musicians. I think people in general. I think all of us are probably more on the spectrum in terms of autism than we care to admit. I think especially artists. There's something about being an artist and understanding visual stuff and sound. I think it just almost all of us are kind of socially awkward. Like it just really makes you think like how common is being on the spectrum. You know, like I have a lot of the boxes you could tick off.
Totally. I feel the same way.
I mean, obviously, if I was, you and I are both extremely high functioning, which is fine.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting. I hope that people study that more because to me that's fascinating. That when I talk to most of my artist friends,
that'd be cool to know.
It's just fascinating that when I talk to most of my artist friends, almost all of us have synesthesia in some form, which not everybody has that. I mean, I mentioned that to my mom, and she was like, "You get that? That's so cool." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I've always had it."
Yeah, nothing new to me.
It's just that's what happens. I listen to music. I just see stuff. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's cool.
That's super dope.
Yeah. So
I've never really talked to anybody about that before.
Yeah. Well, nobody ever brings it up, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's people are very sensitive about that topic. I guess rightfully so. Autistic people have been mistreated for a long time, but I think if you're saying things,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not the rep that it's made out to be, I feel like, most of the time.
No, that's all I really have to say is I think a lot of artists are probably on the spectrum to some extent.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably underdiagnosed, honestly.
It'd be interesting to see a research specifically on artists.
Yes, I would be like so fascinated to see that, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if that is something. Maybe someone's already done something like that. But I don't know if you've looked or if there is anything. But
I mean, anecdotally,
interesting to dig into.
Anecdotally, all of me and all of my friends are weird as shit. So there's that. We're all very, very odd. We all have a lot of particular things in common that are symptoms of that.
Yeah.
So, just fascinating. Fascinating.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No kidding.
All right, what else we got? Now we've delved into. We just got way off the rails.
Got all kinds of goodies.
Yeah, well, we were talking about mental health. So yeah, that's what you should do if you're feeling burnt out. Consume new things. Yeah. Have new experiences. Go somewhere new. Take a drive. Whatever. Go on a fucking date. Like we said last time. Talk to girls. Ooh, shit. Interact with whatever sex that you're interested in.
Could leave you pretty damn motivated.
Yeah. Or like just for mental health in general, for me, like having a pet is really nice. I don't have one at the moment because I feel like our house is kind of small. So I like really big dogs. So I feel like they wouldn't be a good fit here. But you know, if
I've got 2 cats. It's amazing.
Adorable. If I move out, I'm getting a big fucking dog. If I move out to a house on my own, just because that'd be something about so nice. Taking care of something like that. It frees up your mind. It's harder to be sad when you wake up every morning to a dog like licking you in the face because it wants to eat. Oh, totally. It's really hard to be sad then, or at least miserable. It's hard to be miserable, and you got to walk the dog. You got to take care of it. If you
live by yourself,
oh, it's super lonely. I mean, I'm lucky that I live with, you know, one of my best friends. That helps, but it's not the same as a dog. My best friend doesn't lick me in the face every morning. It'd be kind of weird if he did.
Yeah, it's a whole different dynamic, totally. But yet they do become like your best friends over time.
Yeah, absolutely. They also get you out of that depressive, sedentary? Yeah, sedentary lifestyle where you're just not moving. You're staying in bed all day. It is impossible to do that if you have an animal to take care of. It really is. They'll bug the shit out of you until you take care of them. Or they'll or they'll just like shit in the house. What are you gonna do? Leave shit in the house? Fucking pick it up.
Yeah. Every time.
You gotta take it for a walk. You gotta feed it. It puts you on a schedule, which as much as I hate schedules and I hate feeling like I'm conforming to something, there's the punk in me, right? It's the whole reason why I got into this.
We've all got a little.
Oh, that's the whole reason why I got into audio was because I didn't want a real job, and I learned how to do it on my own, mostly because DIY punk. I wanted to figure out everything on my own. And that's a great mindset to have, by the way. It will get you places. It'll make you very motivated, but yeah, just in some ways, conforming to a schedule is actually really helpful. It really is. It helps create that work-life balance.
It does.
Like we said, it helps you be more consistent. You know, every day from noon to 6 p.m., I'm going to be working on music. Noon to 8 p.m., whatever it is. I'm going to be doing something, you know? Monday's my grocery day. Cool. Don't have to worry about groceries. That's like stress off my back. I know I'll have groceries up until that point. Just schedules. My mom takes it to another level where she's like, make lists. And I'm like, I don't want to fucking make lists.
Oh boy. I used to do that, dude. And it's so stressful.
It's so fucking
That's when I
stressful.
said, fuck it. I'm just going to go.
You get so much done, but you get so much done.
No matter what
if you don't get something done, you're like, oh, fuck, I feel like a piece of shit.
Yeah, exactly. I give myself one thing. I started with one thing done a day to get myself just going.
Yeah.
And then just add things on. You get after 1 week, like do 2 things maybe, you know, do 3 things. It tends to still get out of control.
Occasionally.
And you still can burn yourself out, but just small bites.
Occasionally,
don't overcram your days.
Occasionally I'll get manic and I'll be up for like 36 hours just because I can't sleep. And so I'll just be like super like motivated because I'm tired and I'm out of my fucking mind, right?
Yeah.
I'll make like a list of like, here, do you remember this? The last time I sent this to you like a month or two ago, probably 2 months ago, I was like, here's the list of things I'm going to get done this week. It was like all this shit. I think I maybe got 2 of those done. But the thing is like, those 2 things I got done have pushed me forward. We started doing the podcast. That was a huge thing we figured out. So like, hey, now here we are almost 2 months later. And this is a consistent part of our lives now. So, okay, progress, you know, we're doing new things. I learned how to do some rudimentary video editing. Cool.
Yeah. I guess in that respect, you know, it can help you kind of find things that you can do, I suppose, is where I would like use lists more often, I suppose, is look at them in a way of like, what can I get rid of that I don't need to do? Yeah. And what can I make like my priorities or things that I really want to take advantage of or learn and move forward with?
Sometimes just writing things down helps.
Honestly. It does.
It'll just help you get your... Sometimes if you write something down or like... when I've given audio lessons to people, just having to explain what I was doing, sometimes I would like learn new things just by having to explain stuff, which is kind of interesting. Yeah. Like actually thinking through something, you can figure out different parts of it and view it in a different light than if you just keep it all in your head or vocalizing it. Yeah, very, very
interesting how that works.
Yeah. I think we're already hitting the nail on the last topic, the positive routines thing. Something that's a good routine to get into is you wake up, you know, you have your cup of coffee, you make breakfast, and then you get to work while the caffeine is still there. And then when the caffeine starts to wear off around lunch, eat something else. And then If you can get more done, good. If not, well, hey, you got something done. You got a couple hours during the day. I do find that
something that help.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I do find
it's all you.
I do find that the later in the day, the harder it is for me to find motivation nowadays. Even though I am a night person, I just don't like my nights being taken up by work anymore. I don't enjoy that now.
It's a lot. It's weird going to sleep after you've been working. I always get like a TV static or a ringing in my head almost.
Yeah.
My mind is still moving, sort of.
That's why
and then I lay
difficulty.
down and it just doesn't go to sleep.
That's the basis of my insomnia, is that my brain's just going. So for me, the unhealthy lifestyle that I choose is I tend to just not lay down until I know I'm exhausted enough to go to sleep. And sometimes that can be
totally
midnight. Sometimes it can be 2 a.m. Often it's 4 a.m. And then in extreme cases, sometimes I just can't fucking go to bed until like midday the next day, which is brutal. But you know, what are you gonna do? That's a me thing. That's something I'm trying to work on. That's another thing I want to stress is like, just because we're saying all this shit, like we're not perfect. Like I fuck up. I fall off the wagon.
No way.
Like just like every other musician, we're all fucking crazy. We all have shit wrong with us that we're working through. But
I've got my fair share of baggage and laziness and like just shit, you know? Everybody's got something. And I'm definitely not on the grind 7 days a week anymore.
Yeah, can't do it. Sorry. But if I do get busy, I get my shit done.
Yep.
I might not love it. I might not like having to get it done, but I set a deadline and I get it. Deadlines. Ooh, that's another. Boy, there we go. That's a fucking great time, because that is the best motivation. If you give me a song and you say, get it to me when you can, I will take so fucking long on that project. So I give myself a week to mix songs now. I get most of the work done in like 2-3 days. Then I fucking leave it alone until like the 6th or 7th day. And I'll just come back to it fresh. I'll be like, that needs to get fixed. That needs to get fixed. Boom, boom. Finish it up. Listen in the car. Cool. Done. Like.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But if I give myself any longer than a week, I just don't touch it. I just get too fucking lazy.
Yeah.
Just too lazy.
I do and don't. You know, there's like a medium for me. 1 week I'll do pretty much exactly what you just said. Work for 2 or 3 days on it. Stop for 3 or 4 days. Come back. Fix. Send it off. I'm doing an album right now. 6 songs for a band called Hello Metal.
Yeah.
And they basically said that that it's not done till May. So I have all the time in the world that I want to get creative and mess around and
so you're not,
just have the tracks.
So what you're telling me is you're not doing anything to them right now.
It's in and out. I'm in the limbo, if you will.
Yeah.
I'll go in like a week, maybe do a couple of days on like 3 or 4 songs, and then listen to them at the start of the next week, and then I won't do anything. And then we usually wait for like reviews. That's also something that I leverage to not continue working on it. And then come back, do touch-ups, work on the next set of songs. Like try and have some kind of like order to it.
Yeah.
While also trying to find and work on new projects as well in between.
If
I smash it out every week, every day, say whatever, I come back to it and I'm like, why did I do any of this? Like this sounds so bad.
Well, you're also
going to
crash.
Satisfied with this.
You're also going to crash and burn eventually. Like you will burn out if you do that. Make no mistake.
Definitely.
You gotta just be. I mean, you listen to people like Joey Sturgis, who's insanely motivated. His story. There's a great podcast you should listen to on the Finn McKenty's channel. With Joey Sturgis.
I like him. He's good.
Yeah, I like Finn. I used to read a lot of his blogs back in the day when he went by the moniker Sergeant D. He was really funny.
Oh, that's cool.
He was really funny and insightful, like 10, 13 years ago, whatever.
Was it still music content?
Yeah, he was on. Do you remember the website Metal Sucks? He used to write for them.
Yeah. Oh, that's dope.
He used to write for them. He had a really funny website called Stuff You Will Hate, where it was like crude, sure, but it was also very insightful in terms. Like it got me into a lot of cool like metalcore and hardcore bands that I never would have found otherwise. So he's definitely out of music, all the music journalists, if you want to call him that. I think he's one of the better ones. Mainly just because he comes from the DIY punk scene, which is all those people. Those are my people. I understand those people.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why I don't get mad when people, if I ever pitch myself, they're like, "No, we want to try to do it ourselves." It's like, cool. I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it.
I'm like an advocate of that at this point, dude.
That was me.
Yeah.
How can I get mad at somebody who was just like me?
Yep. And it's fun too. When you first like start doing this, there's so many big wins and there's so much to learn and grasp. It's fun, dude. granted, I want people in the studio, but if they're going to do it on their own, like most of the time I'm happy to help if you have questions or anything like that, dude, because I know how daunting and exciting it can be at the same time.
Something that's been happening with a couple of my clients is over quarantine, they've learned how to produce themselves. And now they're just sending me stuff to mix. And it sounds pretty fucking good.
That's so great.
That's great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They're like, is this cool, man? Are you sure we don't have to do anything? I'm like, dude, you mean that I don't have to do any of the busy work and you just send me shit? That's amazing. That's fucking great. Are you kidding me?
You get to just the best part,
please,
the chunk, the fun part.
Please, they save money. So they save money and I don't have to do busy work. So they get to do more songs overall with me. So I get to mix more material. Like it's a win.
That's great.
It's a win-win.
Win-win-win.
It really does work out in everyone's favor. Like it sounds scary.
Yep.
It's like they're going to take work away from me. I can't track them anymore. It's like, bro, do you know how fucking chilled out you're going to be if you don't have to track a fucking band? And you don't have to touch a guitarist's tone knob and then they touch it halfway through the session and completely fuck up the guitar tone. Like there's none of that.
Yep.
None of that stress. That's gone.
You don't have to see any of the recording process.
You get your shit. Sounds good. You mix it. Boom. You're done in a week.
That sounds so nice, dude.
Easy.
I would love to just mix. Could you imagine that?
Oh, that'd be great. Actually, I don't know. I think we were just talking about this. I think for me in the future, I do like mixing a lot, and I think I'm pretty good at it. But I think for me in the future, my favorite. Stop. I think the future for me, I think, is just being a producer. I think I am the best at that, at helping people write songs, and that's another way you can keep yourself motivated, which I can't fucking afford to do yet. I don't think you can either, Andrew. But it is the next step when you start making a bit more money, right? Is you start offloading busy work because you just don't need to fucking do it. You have a guy that does all your editing, you know? Here's your vocal production guy. You send it off to him. He makes everything. All these big productions that we hear that sound amazing, you got to remember there are large teams working on this music.
Oh, yeah.
It is not just one guy.
Every angle.
It really isn't. I mean, it's great to be a jack of all trades because then you learn what you're good at. You're well-rounded, but eventually, like, specializing is the way. If I can just come in, you know, set up some good guitar tones, put some mics on drums, and write a song with a band, that's my favorite fucking part. And then somebody else could come in, hit record, make sure everything goes correctly. Somebody else comes in and edits. Somebody else mixes. Somebody else masters. Like, sure, you might you might make less money on that project, but it frees you up to do more. So
yes,
but again,
that's the overall like end goal.
Again, you gotta have more money rolling in. You gotta be busier. I don't think I'm there yet, but hopefully.
I've done that on one album where I've sent guitars out for editing.
That'd be nice. Maybe in another year I can start to think about that. I'm starting to think about maybe outsourcing my mastering. I've been mastering my own stuff, and it would change my workflow quite a bit because I like mastering my own stuff because I have total control and I can adjust things in the session while I'm there. But
totally,
Ingvar, who I was talking to you about, super talented, and I think it might be smart just to incorporate him in my costs maybe in the next year or so, just to see if that improves, because I want to start building a team, you know?
How would that work on your costs? Would you just be deducting that from your current flat rate, or would you be adding that on there?
I charge the same amount or whatever, and he just gets the cut for mastering. Or maybe I charge more.
Awesome.
I don't fucking know. Like, that's just my team at that point. That is part of the package deal.
Yep. That's sweet, dude.
Well, not only that, you get another set of ears on the project, so they'll help you make it better. Like, he knows his shit. He is a smart cookie.
That's what you were saying.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how good could a project be if somebody produced it and they picked great tones, somebody mixes it and they know what the fuck they're doing, and then somebody masters it and they, like, all different people, like, that's 3 talented people touching that.
That's pretty cool.
It's got to be 3 times as good.
How awesome. I can only, well, I guess it's not that I can't only imagine, because I've probably heard plenty of records that are like that.
It's almost every record you listen to.
But to know that process and like know that that's what's happening is really interesting to think about.
Mm-hmm. So it would be nice. Actually, probably the first thing I'll offload is editing. If I make enough money not to have to drum edit, and I can send that off, holy shit, I do that, because that sucks. That is the worst.
Especially
shit.
Guitars and drums, because you do live drums. I always rule out live drums, man.
They
you
are
do
the most
live
work.
drums, so I'm like, guitars.
I think I've said this once every podcast. Boy, they are a lot of work, but boy, do they sound cool. I like them better than samples.
Yeah.
But I guess that's because I'm a masochist. Yeah, I just hate myself and I want to do the fucking multiple hours of editing for each song.
Yep. If guitars aren't enough, dude, take drums. You'll love it.
Yeah.
Guitars are plenty for me until I actually get a live kit and practice that, which I'm kind of eager to be honest. Man, guitars drive me nuts. Editing sloppy takes. And then you get it edited, and depending on the performance, it's still slop.
Oh, sure.
It's just in time slop.
Yeah. Well, I think we're about ready to finish this off. We're about to hit an hour, and I feel like we've hit everything. But again, to reiterate, I think that is the final way to keep yourself motivated, is to just build a team. But that does take time, and the best way to start is to be a jack of all trades, be a one-stop shop. I'm
try and be consistent.
I'm still in that stage.
Momentum, consistency.
I'm still in that stage. Maybe in a year or two, I can start to build a bit of a team. But I'm still in the do everything stage, because I
me too.
need the money, because I need to survive. So,
in time, man.
Yep. Another way to get motivated is to raise your fucking rates.
Yes.
To not work for so little.
Yeah, cheap work is not fun work.
No, but we did talk about that last time, so let's not keep diving into it.
It's a sensitive topic.
Once again, guys. Hey, what's up, guys? Can we get 5,000 likes on this video? Hey, guys, can we get 5,000 subscribers? I can be a hype beast on YouTube, but no, if you guys subscribe, that helps us quite a bit. If you enjoy this content,
absolutely,
just lets us know that you care. Lets us know that you give a shit that we're doing this.
At least a little one.
At least a little bit. It's a tiny amount. You give like a tiny, when you poop and it's really, really tiny and it's just like a little drop comes
like a
out.
Pebble?
Yeah, like a pebble. Even if you cared about us that much, that would be more than most people
are
caring about us.
A little bit of splashback even.
So.
Poseidon's kiss, if you will.
Oh, God. So. Yes, guys, if you care, subscribing helps. Liking the video, all that shit helps.
Thanks for watching.
Share it with your friends. Honestly, as cheesy as it sounds, that really would help us at the moment.
Definitely.
Andrew, do you have any projects you want to shout out?
I think we brought him in last time. I don't have anything new going on right now, but I am in the midst of touching up my website, so that will be up soon.
Very cool. Well, I will link your website, and as always, I'll link my website as well. I think if you guys want to at least know where our skill level is at, I encourage you to check out our website. It's not like we're at the top of our game recording, high tier artists, but I think we're pretty fucking good. We're better than most. We've been doing this for quite a long time. We're doing it full time, so we're pretty good at this stuff. We sort of know what's going on. And
always getting better.
Always. On my end, I started mixing a song for a guy named Ralph Rylan. Rylan? I don't know. It's like funk.
That's the recent project? The funk project.
Real sexual. And then soon...
Really cool song.
Soon I have another kind of funk track coming in from a guy named Kyle Burcham, who goes by the artist name Vaccaro. That is like lo-fi hip-hop and funk. It's good. It's very, very good. I know you guys will like that. And... I think within a month or two, I will have Earthworm Von Doom, a 2-piece grind band, coming back to me for their second album with me. And that will be very fun, very noisy and chaotic. I'm going to really, really love that. So, guys, thank you for watching. Once again, my name is Seamus. This guy over here is Andrew.
Hello. Goodbye.
Hey. And thanks for joining us. Have a good night.
Yes. Adios.
Peace.